Shri Swaminarayan Bhagavani Jai, Akshar Purushottam Maharajani Jai, Gunatitananda Swami Maharajani Jai, Bhagat Ji Maharajani Jai, Shastriji Maharajani Jai, Yogi Ji Maharajani Jai, Pramukh Swami Maharajani Jai, Mahant Swami Maharajani Jai, Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsavni Jai, Akshardham Mahotsavni Jai. Many of us may have heard the name Brahmanand Swami, especially in the context of kirtans that he has composed. We will be learning about Sadguru Brahmanand Swami to understand his virtues and see how his life is applicable to us today. The connection between Brahmanand Swami's life and ours may not be direct. However, by searching for connections, we can adopt some of the virtues that were prevalent in Brahmanand Swami's life. Let us look at the life of Brahmanand Swami's childhood and teenage years. He was given the name Ladudanji and was born in a town of Kangam. A skilled and intelligent person who was able to delight any set of audience through his talents. Once he got an invite from the king of Shirohi to perform on a grand stage. After reciting his kirtans accompanied by musical instruments, the audience and the king were mesmerized by his talent. Ladudanji further enhanced his career, his knowledge, by going to Kutch. Under Guru Abhaydanji, he learned Pingal and other Shastras within 10 years. The king of Kutch showered Ladudanji with hefty rewards of gold, diamonds, and many costly possessions. He then left from Kutch to a small village called Dhamadka. Here he learned Sanskrit and music from Guru Bhattacharya. After completing his studies, he happened to meet Ramanand Swami and received his blessings. Showing his inquisitiveness, he carried on learning from many different teachers and professors. While performing for different kings and processions, Ladudanji gained immense popularity for his poetry, for his intellect. However, that would change very quickly. After performing for King Vajaysi Darbar in Bhavnagar, the king said, "I have a dilemma that you need to solve." He said, "In my kingdom, there is a village called Gadda. An individual by the name of Swaminarayan resides there. The Kathi Darbars believe him to be God. To me, it all sounds like a hoax. Please go there and find out the truth." Being young and full of pride, ego, of his talents, his skills, his fame, Ladudanji, along with his maternal uncle, his mama, left straight for Gadara to expose Swaminarayan. But as Ladudanji made his way to Gadara, he began to ponder, he began to wonder, what if Swaminarayan is really God? And so he decided to test Swaminarayan by coming up with 4 different sankalps in his mind. The first sankalp was, "Let him place the rose garland that he's wearing around my neck and call him by my name." The second thought that he had in his mind was, "Let him show me the 16 divine signs on his feet." The third wish was, "Let him introduce me by relating my life story." And the fourth wish was, "Let him be reading from the Bhagavad Granth wrapped in a black cloth." As soon as he entered into Gadda, he made his way into the residence of Dada Kacha's Darbar. There he saw Bhagavan Swaminarayan sitting amongst his Paramhansas and devotees. Bhagavan Swaminarayan welcomed him and fulfilled all the wishes, and immediately it led Ladudanji to compose the kirtan, "Aajani Ghadi Re Dhanya, Aajani Ghadi."
आजनी घड़ी रे धन्य आजनी घड़ी मैं निर्घ्या सजन अंध धन्य आजनी घड़ी काम क्रोधन लोभ विषे रसन शके नड़ी मावजीनी मूर्ति मार हृदय माँ खड़ी रे हृदय माँ खड़ी धन्य आजनी घड़ी रे धन्य आजनी घड़ी मैं निर्घ्या सजन अंग धन्य आजनी घड़ी ज्ञान कुची गुरु गम से गया काड़ा घड़ी लाडू सहजानंद निर्घदा ठरिया घड़ी रे ठरिया घड़ी धन्य आजनी घड़ी रे धन्य आजनी घड़ी मैं निर्घ्या सजानंद धन्य आजनी घड़ी मैं निर्घ्या सजानंद धन्य आजनी घड़ी मैं निर्घ्या सजानंद धन्य आजनी घड़ी.
Whilst Ladudanji was doing Maharaj's darshan, he immediately went into trance samadhi and saw all the past avatars praying before Maharaj. Even though Ladudanji was so intelligent and skilled, he did realize that his fame was no longer worthy amidst what he had experienced and thus introspected on shedding his ego. Maharaj knew that Ladudanji was talented, skilled and intelligent, but was full of pride, lust and ego. To further test him, Maharaj asked Ladudanji to go and talk to Dadakash's two sisters, Laduba and Jivuba, on living a life as householders and advise them on getting married. Ladudanji accepted the challenge and thought to himself, this will be a very easy task for me. A meeting was arranged the following day. The two sisters were sitting inside their room and Ladudanji was in the corridor. A curtain was hung between them as a rule of discipline. Jivuba, the eldest daughter, initiated the conversation and asked Ladudanji what brings him to the sisters' quarters. Ladudanji responded by saying that since you are both householders, it is your duty to abide by the laws of a householder by getting married. Dadakachar's sisters listened to what he had to say and thereafter they talked to Ladudanji on the real purpose of life, and that is, this body is perishable. Being so intelligent, Ladudanji did not have anything to say and immediately left the quarters. He heavily introspected before coming to Maharaj. He surrendered at Maharaj's feet and took off his jewelry, changed his clothes and prayed, Maharaj, you did not preach to me directly, but it was through your devotees that you have spoken in explaining the real meaning of life. So today I lay down before you all my worldly fame, possessions, and ask you to initiate me as a sadhu. With all the wealth, fame, and ego that Ladudanji was filled with, the understanding, the samjana that he had, and the greatness of the glory of Bhagavan Swaminarayan changed Ladudanji entirely. In Garra section 1.8, Maharaj says, when a person maintains association with Bhagavan and Sant, the sense of I-ness and my-ness that one harbors towards the body are eradicated. And so Maharaj initiated him as a sadhu and was given the name Shri Rang Das and was then followed by Puja Brahmanand Swami. Meanwhile, his maternal uncle, who was all baffled by the commotion that was going on, immediately left Gadara and went back to Kangam. He gave the news of what Ladudanji had done. The family immediately went to Gadara to convince Ladudanji to come back home. But Brahmanand Swami was firm in his decision to renounce the world and that he had met Bhagwan face to face and was very clear on his purpose of life and composed the following kirtan, Resagaparna Harivaranu Sachu.
Resagaparna Harivaranu
As satsang flourished throughout Gujarat, Bhagwan Swaminarayan made many transformations in society. Tremendous efforts were initiated in creating a unique and everlasting vibrant fellowship. Bhagwan Swaminarayan knew that a Siddhant Upasana would only remain if mandirs were built. Maharaj mentions in Gara section 2:27, "For the sake of preserving Upasana, I have built mandirs of God." Building mandirs was no ordinary task and required a sense of ability, trustworthiness, mature decision-making. Maharaj's eyes fell on Brahmanand Swami, who truly had these qualities in him, and gave him an agna to build a mandir in Vartal. Maharaj gifted him with only a mere 12 rupees to start the project. Brahmanand Swami was overjoyed in taking this opportunity and had a chance to collect Rajipo and add it to his bank of moksha. The work in Vartal had started. Maharaj viewed the ongoing work and the tireless efforts that Brahmanand Swami was coordinating to complete the project. Maharaj finally gave the date of the Pratishta a year in advance. After the long-awaited Pratishta date, the murtis were installed by the Vedic Vidhi. Bhagwan Swaminarayan immediately called upon Brahmanand Swami and told him that it has been long since that he has not composed any sort of kirtans or any form of literature. Thus asked him to leave the mandir administrative responsibilities and join him on Vichran. Brahmanand Swami immediately left all the responsibilities, and while he accompanied Maharaj, he composed the famous kirtan as we sing it today in our BAPS mandirs, Adham Udharan Avinashi Tara.
Adham Udharan Avinashi Tara Birudani Bali Hari Re Adham Udharan Avinashi Tara Grahi Vahaya Chodo Nahi Giridhar Avichad Tekat Mari Re Adham Udharan Avinashi Tara. તેવો પુત્ર તમારો અણસમજુ અહંકારી રે, પેટ પડ્યો તે અવશ્ય પાડવો, વાલમાં જુઓને વિચારી રે, અધમું ધારણ અવિનાશી તારા. બ્રહ્માનંદની વિનંતી મન ધાર્યે મોરારી રે, પ્રીત સહિત દર્શન પરસાદી, જોયે સાંજ સવારી રે, અધમું ધારણ અવિનાશી તારા, અધમું ધારણ અવિનાશી તારા.
Having a successful career, it is inevitable and we should strive for achieving that goal. But to live a more peaceful and successful life, we need to recap on the different connections that Brahmanand Swami made with Maharaj. The first connection that we see is that Brahmanand Swami did that samagam with Bhagavan and was able to remove his swabhavas of ego, pride, etc. Similarly, we can associate ourselves with Param Puja Maharaj Swami Maharaj to eradicate our subhavas. The second connection that we see is that Brahmanand Swami trusted Maharaj's words and followed each and every agana to gain his Rajipo and Moksha. We can connect to Param Puja Maharaj Swami Maharaj to gain his Rajipo by memorizing the Satsang Diksha, reading daily, doing our Onyx daily, and also doing Prasang Manan as well, and also giving our Satsang exams on a regular basis. So let us pray to Maharaj and Swami. We can connect to the Satpurush Param Puja Maharaj Swami Maharaj. Shri Swaminarayan Bhagwan Ni Jai.
ઈષ્ટદેવની પ્રત્યેની જે અનન્ય ભક્તિ જેને કહીએ છીએ કે એમને તો પહેલાં જ્યારે ગાયકવાનું બધું આવ્યું, એમને સાધુ થયા ત્યારે એ શિરપાવ આવશું, પછી ગામ આવશું, એ બધી વાત પણ અંદર આવી ગઈ. તે વખતે પણ એમને કહી દીધું કે હવે જે મુખથી ભગવાનના ગુણ ગાયા છે, હવે બીજા માણસના ગુણ ના ગવાય, રાજા મહારાજાના ગુણ ગવાય નહીં. ત્યાંથી એમનું નક્કી થયું. મહારાજ મળી ગયા અને ત્યારથી થઈ ગયું કે ધન્ય ઘડી આજની, ધન્ય ઘડી આજની થઈ ગઈ. કે બધા રાજા મહારાજા બધા મળ્યા, બધાએ ખૂબ શિરપાવ આવ્યા, ખૂબ પ્રશંસાઓ કરી, બધી કરી, પણ એ આપણા આગળ બધી દૂર છે. મહારાજ જ્યારે મળે છે ત્યારે એ બધું થઈ કે આજની જ ઘડી ધન્ય છે, તમને મળ્યા ત્યારે જ, બાકી તો અત્યાર સુધી ફર્યા એ તો બધું નકામું ગયું. બ્રહ્માંડ સ્વામીના આ વાક્યમાંથી આપણે એટલું જ જાણવું છે કે એમને તો બધી શક્તિ હતી, ભગવાન થઈને પૂજા એવા માણસ હતા, એને હજારો માણસ ભગવાન થઈને પૂજા એવા. મહારાજે કહ્યું ને કે આ બધા છે એક એક ભગવાન થઈને પૂજા એવા, અને એવા બધા સંતો એક એક ભગવાન થઈને પૂજા એવા હતા. પણ સ્વામિનારાયણના દાસ રહ્યા, પોતે ભગવાન થઈને પૂજા, હજારો શિષ્યો એમના થઈ જાય, અને એવી એમની શક્તિ, એમની આવડત બધી હતી. પણ છતાં મહારાજ જે હુકમ કર્યો એમાં કોઈ દાડો સમજાય, જેટલા વર્તમાન ફેરવા તો એમાંય. એટલે બ્રહ્માંડ સ્વામીના જીવનમાંથી આપણને ઘણા ઘણા પ્રસંગો એવા છે કે જે એમને જે ભગવાનને રાજી કર્યા અને જે શક્તિ છે એવું બળ સર્વને મળ્યા.